probably need to share the live link since this was not scheduled in advance like I thought it was. That's why nobody's here. Is that this one? Yes. We are live right now. Oh my goodness, I hope y'all didn't hear what he just said. Hey ladies, I just realized that I did not share the link again. Hopefully, well, you found me, so you must have found the link, but apparently I had not scheduled this one on YouTube, so I just had to go live right now without having scheduled it in advance. So that's a little note to self for next week. But since you're finding me, I'm assuming that the link is where it needs to be. But just in case, I'm going to pop into the Facebook group and drop it there. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Juliana. So you just shared it for me. You're awesome. You are the bestest. All right, I'll post it right here in the group too. If you're looking for the link. Boom. Oh, let me tag everyone. Okay, now it is posted in the group. Too many things to coordinate. Facebook events, and then YouTube, you got to schedule it separately there. All right, enough rambling, and I don't like to complain. So we're just going to move on. You guys are here. It's up there for everyone else. So cool. Spoiler alert, Bronson's going to join us tonight. That's why we have this cool looking chair over here. Man's chair over here. What up, ladies? What up? What up? More and more of you are finding us. Yay. Howdy, howdy. Check in. How's your Grace and Grind challenge going? I have been doing a lot of things at once, and so my mind was all over the place. So I brought my journal with me so I could share my latest. How's the Grace and Grind challenge been going for you, babe?
Fantastic. I just got finished journaling.
Journaling?
Mm-hmm.
Or urinaling?
Oh, why am I good?
I don't know. Oh, wait, today's Tuesday. So today is day 9 of the challenge. So I did something a little different this morning than my normal morning mindset. Actually, no, that's on my list. You can be my self-care tonight. That counts, ladies. That is self-care.
After recovery.
Do my morning cardio. I can do my nighttime cardio too. So this morning I did something different than normal. I did my gratitude popcorn. Do you know what that is?
No. Gratitude popcorn.
Gratitude popcorn. It is where you allow yourself to just think of all the things you're grateful for and let them pop up like popcorn kernels. So I wrote a whole page, front and back, full of things that I'm grateful for today. And yes,
imagine that.
You made the list.
I better have made the list. I wasn't even questioning that.
You got 3 hearts on the list.
Ooh, only 3? I think I'm a 5-hearter. Give me a kiss.
Are you leaving already?
Yeah,
you didn't even share anything.
I don't have anything to share. I just want to say hi to everybody.
Profound.
I do, but I got to work tonight.
Oh, he's being summoned. Womp, womp, womp. Well, you'll get more of him on Saturday for our Saturday coffee chat in the meantime. So, so gratitude popcorn became an addition to my mindset this morning because I always do the same thing for my mindset every morning, and that is my meditation, my devotional, and now my grace and grind journaling. That's when I do my journaling from the day before, reflect over the day before, and reflect and make some plans for the day ahead. So I do that every morning after my morning movement. So the cool thing is the first 3 things on my list are basically checked off by 9 a.m. every morning. Mindset, movement, and nourishment. Because nourishment, my one challenge right now is that I'm doing carnivore for the month of January, probably a little longer than that. So carnivore is my simple nourishment, one thing on the list every day. And that's kind of a going without saying right now. So mindset, nourishment, and movement and nourishment are done pretty early in the day every day, unless I am sleeping in which case self-care gets checked off pretty early. So the other day, actually yesterday, I did that. So yesterday, my self-care was sleeping in and giving myself a slow, quiet morning and some cuddles with Bronson instead of getting up and doing morning movement. So those 2 things kind of flip-flopped yesterday. And then my movement yesterday was my upper body training and core training, which actually, no, I did core today. So let's correct that. So I like to go back and make notes about what I ended up doing and not doing the day prior, and then I make my plans for the day ahead. Anything else I wanted to share with y'all this week? There is one day that I did not get one of the things done. And I wanted to share this with you all because I know I saw y'all posting in the group, and this is amazing because the thing I wanted you to take out of this more than anything is that if you don't do all the things every day, I don't want you to quit on yourselves. That's what Grace and Grind is all about. So I wanted to come here and share with you that I had a day where I didn't get one of the things on my list done. I will say the one thing that ends up in the air about whether or not I will 100% do it every day is the professional or the personal development piece, the self-development, which I like to do a lot of professional development, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that. It can be anything. So Saturday was kind of a day where things were not so scheduled and routine as they normally are. Monday through Friday, and even Sunday is kind of a routine day. So Saturday was I think it was another sleep-in day. Yes, slept in. We went to brunch. So my movement on Saturday was walking to brunch. And I'm sure Former Fat Girl knows where we went for brunch. It's our favorite place. We went to Ted's, by the way, if you didn't know that. It wasn't because she and I went to brunch at a different place nearby, but we love Ted's. So we walked. That's a few blocks away. So that was a nice, probably like I don't know if it was maybe 10 minutes each way, 5 or 10 minutes each way. So maybe like a 15, 20-minute walk all together. And walked down to the CVS on the way back. So we got some walking outdoors. Of course, that was before the snow hit the last couple of days. So I skipped a lot of what I normally do in the morning. So I actually ended up doing all of my meditation stuff and my journaling stuff that night before bed. So that's funny. Nicole said I always have to hit CVS on the walk back. I mean, kill 2 birds, right? Why not? So Saturday was a little different than usual, and I got to the end of the night, and I felt a little off. And then that was something I was able to reflect about and journal about. And I realized, oh, I didn't do my devotional and my journaling and my meditation at the beginning of the day. So I did it at the end of the day. And although that was nice to wind down that way, it is very clear to me that I need to have that time first thing in the morning. And if I don't at the beginning of my day, the rest of my day is a little bit wonky. And that's the way Saturday felt. So reflecting on that, it was just kind of a reminder of how important it is to give myself the very beginning of my day and to have that time and that peace and that space. So I think it's important to the more important thing on this journey and this challenge than anything is the reflection piece. So this is what I'm so happy seeing the posts every day because you're reflecting on things, and I want more than anything to see what you're learning about yourself. Are you learning things about yourself? Are you noticing things? Are you becoming more observant and mindful and present and aware of the things that are going on in your life day to day, but also with you? Like before I really started having a meditation and a journaling practice, I didn't do a lot of reflecting day to day, maybe week to week, maybe once a month, maybe quarterly or at the end of the year, right? We tend to do these reflections like at the end of the year and thinking about New Year's goals and things like that. But I wasn't doing it on a consistent, regular basis. And I didn't realize how important having that time with myself was. And that's what I consider it, time with myself. So I'd love to hear about any aha moments you're having, anything you noticed going through these daily reflections about yourself, about things you're learning about you or what you need. Um, One of the things that's so key that I notice with clients and members in the academy is this lack of awareness and understanding what our own needs are, and then a lack of an ability to communicate those needs to others. And this shows up when I ask the question in the weekly check-ins, where do you need support? A lot of the time, especially early on, I see, oh wow, this question really threw me. I don't really know how to answer this. I don't know what support I need. So these are the kinds of things that when we can start to pay attention and tune in, we start to recognize that we have needs that may be unmet, um, and that sometimes, and then that can lead to, if we spend a little bit more time reflecting over it, that can lead to maybe understanding how we can ask others in our lives to help us. Especially for those of you who are mothers, um, you're doing everything for everyone else all the time. And some of those things you're doing could be delegated. And I hate to even use that term delegate, but could be shared with your partner or with a friend or with a family member who might be able to help you take some things off your plate so you're not overwhelmed and stressed all the time. But we tend to feel like we can't ask for those things, or it's not okay to ask for help. I should be able to do it all myself. I should be Superman. Um, and when you spend more time with you, reflect over what you need, which sometimes you don't because you're so busy doing all those things for everybody else, that us that us time, our me time, goes to the back burner. But that me time is the thing that if you're in, it may allow you to discover how you can have more me time. It's like a cycle, right? Where does it start? Where does it end? If we're always giving away, giving away, giving away, and we never give to ourselves, we're never going to figure out how we can give to ourselves. So I love the quote, and I forget who said it, but it was, the person who doesn't have an hour to meditate needs an hour to meditate, needs to meditate for an hour. Need it more than the next person. If you don't have the time, you need to do it even more than the person who would say they have the time. And let's be real too. Nobody says they have the time for any new habit, any new thing, whether it's fitness routine or tracking macros or starting a new diet or anything. We don't say we have the time. But when we start a new job, we somehow magically find the time to learn the job and get good at the job and, train for the job or whatever it might be, right? And that kind of a thing just shows us it's what do you value? If it were a matter of paying your bills or not, you'd friggin' figure out a way to do it, right? Figure out a way. But when it comes to our health, when we keep putting our health on the back burner, because it doesn't seem like a necessity until what happens? You notice it when you get the flu, you get the Rona, you get one of those things, and you end up in bed, and your health is taken away from you, or any of my ladies dealing with chronic illnesses already, your health is taken away from you. You start to recognize how nothing else is important as getting back your health is in that moment. But when we're doing okay, which is really kind of like functional illness, functioning, but you're not optimal, you're not optimized, you're not well. But if it became a matter of you can't get out of a hospital bed, all of a sudden that priority would rise to the top. Well, let's not wait for that, right? Let's start taking those steps now for our health. Oh, we got some good comments coming in. Let's see. I struggled to even ask a neighbor for some ice with a broken ice maker because I was in the ER with my kiddo till midnight instead of going to the store. Who here would bat an eye at a neighbor asking for a cup of ice for my work cup? Seriously, you deserve it. You deserve help. It's okay. First of all, there's nothing wrong with you for asking for help. That's a big thing that we have to identify when we think that there's something wrong with us for asking for help. It's all the shoulds, right? And then beyond that, yeah, why are we uncomfortable asking? That would be a good thing to sit down and reflect about and do some journaling about. Because there might be some subconscious programming going on back there about worthiness. It always comes back to worthiness, FYI, in case you're not aware. If you were to keep going down your 7 levels of why, for example, generally when we get to that number 7, it has something to do with worthiness. Because the root of most of these things is I am not enough. I just went through that practice with one of my clients last week, and we got down to that exact thing. Why is it so hard to just ask? It's a good question to ask yourself. What felt hard about it? Was there some fear of judgment? What were you afraid of? Oh, here's a good one. Simpson says, I can't get my mind to settle in order to meditate. I have a tip for you, love, because that was me. And the big thing for me in this challenge was doing my meditation for real. Because although I've had the practice or the time set aside, and I spend the time meditating every day, and I've done that for a long time, I wasn't really meditating. I was having quiet time, but a lot of the time my mind would wander to something else that needs to be done. I would end up getting on my social media. And granted, that's an amazing thing to have quiet time for. When you're a content creator in particular, you really need to have space to be creative, to think of things that you want to share, things to post, things to write about, videos to create, and all of that. But that is work. For those of us who use social media in that way, that's work. That's not self-care. So I noticed that I would keep doing that. I would kind of like veer off to, well, let me post something in my stories and let me, spend some time being creative about what I might want to post today. And it turned into a content creation hour instead of meditation time. So my goal for this challenge was to take, and I don't do a long time of meditation. I literally was doing 3 minutes. I used my little Breathe app on my Apple Watch, and they have a few things. They have a little reflection thing, a breathe. They have a state of mind. You can log your state of mind. It's really cool. I used the breathe one, and I had it set for 3 minutes, and it sends out this little pulse that is like a way to keep track of your breath. So it's nice. So I would do that, but I would still find myself going off into other things. So for Grace and Grind, I said, okay, my main challenge is going to be setting my breathe app and then just sitting there and breathing, not looking at anything, not journaling, not looking at social media, not thinking about the work that I need to do that day. And trust me, every day, all of the to-do list items come up to my mind during that time. And I just let them pass. Okay, it came up. That's fine. Let it pass. So here's my tip for what you can do to calm your mind, to just be present with yourself, because that's really all meditation is. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. It's just being with yourself without putting something else in that space. So I think I shared this last week, but I'll share it again because it's powerful. It's the body scan. And all I do is, at first I follow the breath. I follow the little pulse to control my breath, my breathing. I pay attention to my breath, and then I pay attention to my body. I pay attention to what I'm feeling physically, physiologically in my body. What are the sensations that I'm noticing in my body or not noticing? And I like to go from my head down. So do I notice anything? Do I have a headache? Do I have any tension over my eyes? Am I clenching my jaw? Simple, practical things like that. What do I notice in my head region? What do I notice around my neck? Sometimes I notice tightness in my trap. I've been having this weird back thing behind my right shoulder blade. So I must have done something to this lat in my training over the last week. So I tend to feel that creep up while I'm sitting in that restful position, but I notice that kind of bothering me. So I'll be present to that, recognize that. And then I go down my lower back, my hips, my legs, my lower leg, my feet. My feet tend to be cold, so I might notice that. I'll go down my arm. And that allows me to just be present with my body in the space that I'm in the physical reality where I am. And that takes you out of your head and into your body. If you've ever taken a yoga class and you've heard them say, drop into your body, that's really what they mean is you want to do something physical where you're feeling the space around you. You might notice how your butt feels sitting on the seat, or if you're laying down, how your back feels against the pillows, or whatever you're noticing around you. Getting into your physical reality helps take you out of the mental. And that gets your mind, because you're anchoring your mind on something real, it gets it out of all those fleeting thoughts. So that's the way I do it now. And so my big win for this week was I went up to 4 minutes for my meditation. And let me tell you, that 1 extra minute is challenging. And I feel, just knowing I'm going to have 1 extra minute, I feel resistance to doing it. It's like today, it took everything I had because I really didn't feel like doing it. And I was like, I did my little gratitude popcorn and I was happy to move on. And I was like, nope, we're not done. We haven't done the meditation yet. So what I like about that, though, is that it is challenging. So if you notice that because now we're a week in, right? We're a week into the challenge. Have you noticed where you're kind of justifying things as a part of your 5 things just so you can check the boxes? Are you noticing you're taking the least thing possible and you're plugging it in just so you can check the box? Now, we talked about last week how important it is to give yourself credit for things. So I'm not saying don't give yourself credit, but if you're noticing that instead of what the challenge is meant to do, making you more mindful and more proactive about making sure you hit these 5 areas of your life, if you notice that that's not happening, and you're kind of behind the 8 ball, and each day you're like, let me find something I can check off, then you might be missing the point of the challenge. Because the point is, let me be more mindful about getting daily movement. Right? That Saturday where I didn't do any personal development, I had a couple things that I wanted to do that day. But that one didn't happen. So instead of saying, oh, let's see, what could I have said? Oh, I probably watched a YouTube video. Check. I watched a YouTube video about something. Yeah, no, you know what? I didn't do that. And so a huge part of this is taking that ownership and that responsibility for the things we're not doing just as much as for the things we are doing. So if you've noticed that's kind of happening, I see y'all saying, yep, guilty on some. If you notice that's happening, challenge yourself on that, to not check the box, to not write down that you did something, to say, I didn't get that one done today. And not just, I didn't get that one done today. What am I going to do tomorrow to make sure that I get that one checked tomorrow? That I lean into the challenge, and that I stay mindful and purposeful, and that I make a plan so that I can do it tomorrow. Rather than I'm letting myself off the hook and I'm just writing it down because she said all I have to do is check in every day. Doesn't matter if I do them or if I don't do them. Because stepping back, and maybe it's time to reflect and say, wait, why did I join the Grace and Grind Challenge? What's the greater goal? Where do I want to be walking out of these 21 days? What's the purpose of me doing this? For me, it has to do with showing up and being more present in my day-to-day life so that when I have goals and plans, I execute on those things. And I don't let myself off the hook when I don't do something that was on that list. Because the principles underneath it apply to everything in life. When you are a person who shows up, when you are a person who's intentional, makes plans and follows through with those plans and executes, you're going to be better at your job. You're going to be better for your family. You're going to be better in every way. And then you'll elevate your life. So at the end of the 21 days, you are stepping into a new identity. And then you can take that into all those areas of your life to improve them moving forward. Ooh, I love this. I've been struggling getting into the routine of hitting the gym, so I packed my gym bag and laid out my workout clothes for tomorrow morning. I am determined to find my rhythm again. I love it. I love it. That's what I'm talking about. When you're like, you know what? That's what this is meant to do, to say, you know what? I did that well. And to Karen's point, on the other hand, I don't give myself credit for a lot of the things I do. Here's the thing. I want you to give yourself massive credit for the things you are doing. And I also want you to hold yourself massively accountable for the things you're not doing. That is what makes us these people who are not afraid of being triggered, right? This concept I see out there of like being afraid to check in with coach, right? Or being afraid to step on the scale, or, oh, I messed up, so now I don't want to check in and I don't want to weigh myself and measure and do all those things because I didn't do all the things perfectly. Well, we need to be showing up in both regards. We need to be saying, here's what I did well. And I deserve to pat myself on the back for that. I deserve to celebrate myself for that. And here's what I didn't do well. And I deserve to hold myself accountable for that. I'm taking responsibility and I'm going to do better. That's what makes us people who don't quit, out of fear of facing ourselves. Simpson says, I didn't do my rowing for the first days and figured out that my perfectionism was keeping me from using the machine in place rather than my home gym. Ooh, that's powerful. Yep. Is this not good enough? not as good as that. And so now you don't want to count it, or you're not giving yourself credit for that. That's huge. As soon as I started talking, I was like, ooh, I know who's going to feel that. I promise it wasn't directed at you, Rhonda, but I knew you would speak up once I started saying it, because trust me, you're not the only one. I could write a book about it. Like, that could be a whole subject in and of itself. That is 9 times out of 10 why we quit things. And so 100%, what will make all the difference in our health and fitness journey, but anything else in life, is not quitting when things get hard, not hiding, not running. That's what I was doing when I was in the midst of my bulimia. I was running from responsibilities. I was filling the time with something else and the space with something else, which was food, which was not benefiting me. So I definitely discovered that the personal development piece, when I was doing the lymphatic drainage challenge, and it was only a 5-day thing. So when I was doing that, it was like I knew exactly what I was going to do. I was doing it in the morning while I was doing other things. It was easy to pay attention to. And I had that little routine in place. And then when that finished, I was like, great, now I'm going to go move on to start working on my course, one of the new courses I purchased to elevate my skills as a coach this year. And it hasn't happened. That's the thing that I keep not doing because I haven't been in the habit of doing. And it's just a reminder that, yeah, creating new habits is hard because they're new habits, because they're not habitual, right? We have to establish a new pattern. And so what I've discovered is I have to have that calendared, and I have to have it early in the day. Because once I get into my work day and I'm, going into client stuff, and I'm preparing responses, and then I'm diving into the details, and then I'm going in all these different directions, I can be tunnel vision the whole day. And then it's like, oh shoot, okay, I got to go to the gym or get on the live or something. So now I know if I want to work on that course, it has to be calendared, and it has to be early in the day. Now, the other thing that's been kind of, when I wasn't doing the lymphatic drainage, I've been reading the GAPS book, the GAPS diet book, and that is fascinating, and I'm loving it so far. I'm learning so much about, well, I wouldn't say it's a lot of new information about gut health, but I'm going down the rabbit hole about gut health. So there's certain things that are just kind of like blowing my mind, not really blowing my mind, but just kind of lighting up all the sensors. And it's a passion. So I'm getting more deeper into that book. And so that's been amazing. Juliana said, while I'm reading my self-development book, that other book I started, I'm on page 75 of 200 pages. I promise you I'm determined to finish a flipping book. Just one. I will finish. I love that. Yes. Woohoo. Ooh, Rhonda's dropping the water weight. I love it. I'm so glad. I'm sure you're feeling a million times better now. And that's just a beautiful testament to not quitting. The same thing, right? It's not about what you did one time or for a week or whatever. It's about, what are you going to do next week? What are you going to do tomorrow? What are you going to do with the next meal? Because if you had done what so many of us have done in the past and said, well, I've blown it now, what's the point, right? Then where would you be? But you just got right back to it. You were determined. And that's the beauty of this stick with itness. Being able to look at it, even if it's something you're not proud of, and saying, well, what do I do here? Right? I can cry and sit in the ditch and stay in the ditch. Or I can say, what's going to get me back on the road? Let's make a plan and let's go forward. Oh, we got our early risers in here, 5 a.m., 4 a.m. Y'all are getting stuff done. I have to tell you, I'm loving getting up earlier. Um, I had some later days, and then now I'm kind of settling in between. It was like 6 a.m., and then I had some 7 a.m. days, and then today it was like 6:30. And I definitely like the 6:30 better. It just makes the day feel so much longer. And what's interesting, I used to be one of those people who was a super late night owl and then sleep in the morning. And here's the thing. I would stay up late. They call it, there's a term for this. It's called bedtime revenge. No, procrastination. Revenge, bedtime procrastination, something like that. I'm getting the words all jumbled. But there's a term, and it's basically this like you've had this whole day and then you refuse to go to bed because you want more of the day. You want this wind down. Thank you. Revenge, bedtime procrastination. I love how Juliana always is looking up definitions for me because I never remember them. Refers to a phenomenon in which people put off going to bed to engage in activities that they don't have time for during the day. This is exactly what it was for me. It would be like, "Ugh, but I didn't really get a day. And, the day goes by and I would be thinking about all of the work I still had to do, things that didn't get done, or that I just wanted this chill time. And then what would end up happening? I'd turn on Netflix, I'd be multitasking, and then I would not relax because I'd be trying to get work done while I'm watching TV and I wouldn't be doing either thing well. And then hours later, I'm going to bed still feeling not rested and didn't get the chill and the relaxation time that I wanted or the fun time I wanted. I tried to fill it with all these other things, but my brain was not functioning like it was earlier in the day. So I couldn't get good work done either. So that late night time, whether it's 3, 4 hours, 2 hours, however long, is not productive time. It's not good brain energy time. It's basically wasted time that's now robbing from my following day. And that's the biggest shift I have seen. It's not that I actually have more time in my day because we're going to bed earlier, but that late night time is not good quality time. That morning all the way through to about early evening time, that's my good quality time. And so now I've set things up. I've set up appointments differently. After 6 p.m., I'm done for the night. And I'm moving my last meal a little bit earlier too. So on days like today and yesterday, where I had things right up until 6, I was eating at a little bit after 6. But ideally, moving forward, I'm going to be working on getting all those meals to end by 6. So I have a good 4 hours before bed. Blaze says I'm more awake at night. So when I worked third shift. Been that way since a kid. You may have a different chronotype. And I mean, that was me, but I always thought I was more awake at night. And my mother is that way. She's a night owl. But I was kidding myself. I thought I was more awake at night, but it was really just the habit and the pattern I'd created. So a lot of these habits that we've created, even around food, right? When we talk about, food, the number one thing, a lot of the time we say, I'm not a morning person or I am a morning person, right? The truth is, we are whatever we train ourselves to be. Most of my life, I've said I'm not a morning person, but every single time I've created that intention to wake up early, and I've done that consistently for a period of time, all of a sudden, I'm a morning person, right? When the same concept I've talked about with the whole moderation and abstaining thing. And that's another hot button topic. There are those that say abstainers can never be moderators. Hi, I was the biggest, I cannot have a little bit or else I will binge on it. And I am a living, breathing proof that it is possible to change anything in your life if you desire to change it and you put in the work to change it. But the things that we have been doing for a very long time, they are ingrained patterns in our brain. We have neuro connections that are being made, neural pathways. So it takes time and effort, but you absolutely can change any habit you want to, if you want to. And that's the thing. Without desire and intention and action, those things will not change. And if they're not taking away from your life, if they're adding to your quality of life, then by all means, keep those habits. It's like we talked about last week, doing an assessment of the start, stop, and continue, looking at things in your life that you are wonderful for you and are moving you forward and are creating the life you want to live. Those should be on the continue list. Things you're already doing that are doing that. Things that you would like to start doing that would move your life into a more positive place in any way, shape, or form. Those are on the start list. And then the things you're doing that are not adding to your quality of life, that are detracting from the life that you want to live, keeping you from living the life you want to live, those are the things that should be on the stop list. Karen says, I don't think my sleep cycle is going to be a successful change until I retire. Uh, you've been trying to change your sleep to go to bed a little later and wake up later. Is that what you were trying to do? I think, if I'm remembering correctly. Liz says, I'm with you, coach, but mine was always accompanied with wine. You mean your late nights? Yeah, that's going to make it even worse, right? Because that's going to, a common misconception is that alcohol puts you to sleep, but the truth is you're not going to get good quality sleep and you'll likely will not be able to stay asleep. You might fall asleep, but it's not going to be a good sleep. Oh, Simpson, you're talking about Mel Robbins. She said, I can't remember who it was, but she trained herself to be a morning person by doing her 5-second routine. She counts down, yep, and then jumps out of bed. No excuse. Yeah, that's Mel Robbins. And she wrote a book about it called The 5-Second Rule. Not the kind of 5-second rule where you're picking things up off the floor and eating them within 5 seconds, but yeah, the 5-second rule. And she counted down like an astronaut. And she was in a deep depression at the time. It's a powerful read if you haven't read that book. Some of y'all have really been loving some Mel Robbins throughout this challenge so far. In the group, you've been posting your mindset stuff that you're finding from Mel Robbins, or in the personal development section. She's got a few great. She wrote another follow-up book about high-fiving yourself in the mirror. Her reads are fun, easy reads, so definitely worth checking out. Yeah, Karen says, yes, I have moved it to 9 p.m. to 6 a.m., but then I'm stressed over time in the morning before work. Yeah, even though I have time. That, girl, let me tell you, okay. First off, that concept of, first of all, I don't think it's, well, once again, we always talk about the why, right? Why are you trying to change your sleep pattern? Are you thinking that the really early mornings are taking away like from the quality of sleep or your energy throughout the day or things like that? Is that why you're trying to change it? Because I was going to say it may not be necessary to change it if it's working for you well, right? If it does give you more time for you and the things that you care about before you go into the office, because that was another huge thing that I started doing for myself before I left my 9 to 5 was give myself 2 hours in the morning before I left. And that made a huge difference in my day because I was giving myself that time. Like I talk about with the journaling and the reflection and the meditation. Before I did that, I was a totally different person to work with. So if having that time in the morning is more valuable to you right now, then it may not be necessary to switch that schedule. Yeah, not at all. She says, I just missed some things at night. Yeah, so it's It's that kind of balancing act of the pros and cons and weighing them and what matters most to you. But this concept is also very interesting and powerful and kind of fascinating. The concept of having enough time, but feeling the anxiety and the stress. Um, that's an internal pressure because you do have the time, but you don't feel like you do. There's like this anxiety there. And I will tell you that is one of the biggest things that shifted for me when I started doing the meditation, like for real. And this was early on, a few years back, after when I was in recovery from bulimia and I had left my 9 to 5 and I was coaching, but my business was like I had a handful of clients and I was working for another company and it was kind of a mess of a time in my life. And I was just sorting through a lot of trauma. And oh my gosh, the pressure that I had put on my shoulders. I no longer had a 9 to 5 job. I was mostly self employed. I didn't have a large client roster. I didn't have these big responsibilities on my shoulder. I had less responsibility than probably any other time in my life as an adult. And yet, when I allowed myself to really sit and reflect, there was so much guilt and pressure and stress that I was putting on myself and criticism over what I should be spending my time doing, that I shouldn't be spending my time just being, that there was something wrong with that. And that was the thing that was really the underpinning of so much of my self-sabotage was this whole time I had felt like I didn't deserve that. And all the shoulds that were in my head about what I should be doing or how I should be spending my time. And it put this weight on my chest and I could physically feel it. And this is why that body scan, the physical sensations are so powerful because that's how I recognized it. I had no idea it was there. It just playing in the background that whole time. But that is powerful. So when you're feeling this like crunch of like, it may be worth taking some time to dig and say, well, why do I feel that way when I actually do have the time? What's really under that? Yeah, I love that. I really do enjoy my quiet time alone in the morning. It energizes me for the day. Yeah. And it could be as simple as something practical like I have the time, but I also know I need to be somewhere by a certain time because I know that kind of puts a little bit of external pressure on you that's not really an internally driven thing. But just knowing you have that deadline. Um, and in that case, it may be as simple as setting an alarm for a certain time so that you don't have to be constantly thinking about what time I have to get ready. You just know, you know what, my alarm's going to alert me when it's time to start getting ready to leave. But until that alarm goes off, I'm fully free to be and to be doing what I want to be doing during this time. Ah, yes, Aaron, I totally get that. I always feel like I need to be doing something or I'm doing something wrong. Today, I just let go and not only slept later, but took a much needed nap in the afternoon. Ah, yes, she says part of her self care for today. That is huge. Yes, girl. That is so much. That tape is playing, y'all. If you really give yourself time and space to recognize it, we usually have so much self-criticism that we're not even recognizing is up there, and undue pressure that we're putting on ourselves. I love it. Mary Grace's dad is always in these chats, even if he's not here himself. Another good one from my dad, don't should on me. Yeah, exactly. We don't need to be shoulding on ourselves or anyone else. Oh, I love it. You guys always, I never really know what direction these things are going to go in, but y'all always bring it. It's amazing. I'm here for it. And you know what? You've inspired me to pull out my course. So we've been at it here about an hour. Does anybody have anything huge, profound, or just fun they want to share before we hop off? I'm going to go make my dinner and I'm going to work on my course because that was my professional development for the day and I'm not going to avoid it today. Ooh, I love this, Juliana. Yesterday was rest day. I worked hard at being still. It was hard, but well deserved. Indeed. That just being stuff, man, that's hard. You should see Bronson when he finishes a big project. He's like, "Oh my God, I have nothing to do right now. What do I do with myself?" It's okay to just be sometimes. It's beautiful. Yes, I talked about you. You left the room. You left me no choice. I talked about how it's hard for you to be still. Just not for very long. On that note, oh, Juliana, you heard him at the beginning. That's going to be fun for the people watching the replay. It's real life here, y'all. Okay, yes. She said, I love this challenge because you can mess up and not complete a task for the day, but it still feels good to list the 5 items. Yes, and to take accountability, to be like, you know what? I didn't do that, and I'm owning it. I think I've shared this on something before, but I used to watch a lot. Here's another great one if y'all need something for mindset and or personal development. I used to watch a lot of Tom Bilyeu. The way to spell his name is interesting. Anyway, he's the owner of or the founder of Quest Nutrition. Has been massively successful. So he had a couple of different podcasts and on YouTube. There was Inside Quest, and then what are the ones I used to watch? Health. There were 2 different ones. Impact Theory and Health Theory are the 2 podcasts that he also put all over his YouTube. And he would have all different huge guests, big name guests on. And so he covers a lot of ground, a lot of great topics. So you can check that out on YouTube or probably on any podcast host platform as well. Impact Theory and Health Theory. Why did I bring that up? Oh, because one of Tom Bilyeu's mottos is everything is my fault. So that's kind of the harsher, tough love version of it. But it's basically if you want to take credit for the things you're doing well, then you got to also take ownership over the things you're not doing. And he's usually generally speaking in terms of like as a CEO with your business, like everything that happens inside his businesses, he considers it his fault. And that's his way of holding himself accountable for being the leader that he needs to be in his business. But you can apply that to your journey, right? Because I say you got to be the CEO of your body and your journey. And so to do that, you got to take the good with the bad and own it all. All right, ladies, that is it for tonight. On that note, everything is my fault. Take ownership. Keep crushing it. I want to see what's going on with you every day in the challenge. Keep checking in every day, and you could be the winner next week of our salty bag. So I'll see y'all in the group. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Happy Transformation Tuesday. And cheers. Thanks for being here and making it fun. It would be kind of boring if it was just me. Love y'all. Good night.